Hey guys, so I'm at a gas station, kind of weird, right? Not the normal setup for a podcast or even a YouTube video. But I want to make a quick video because I feel like this is something that's really important, especially for business owners out there. As you guys know, I work with a lot of business owners. I help a lot of them out. And I had a conversation earlier today. We were having breakfast with a guy, and we were talking about countries, right? And how every country is unique in itself. And what has happened throughout history is that many countries, because country is basically a border, right? It's actually like a fictitious border, by the way. But many countries have various ethnicities within a country. Just like a city, for example, New York, can have various cultures within the city of New York, right? So what small business owners oftentimes forget is when the business owner, the operator, the manager is trying and hustling and wanting to be the very best at their craft that they possibly can, they forget that they're out here getting their butts handed to them, because it's not about being the best in today's society. Unfortunately, it's not about being the best in majority of society in Western culture. But specifically in today's day and time, it's not about being the best. It's about being either the loudest or the one that gives the same message consistently. And many small business owners are unable to give the same message consistently because they don't have a marketing message. They don't have a marketing message because there's not one message that they focus on that will speak directly to one type of person, what's called a customer avatar. And because of this, their marketing messages sound very generic. And because they sound very generic, what happens is that the potential consumer will hear what this person is about, or hear about their product, will hear about their food, will hear about their business, and will view it as just another commodity. And when you're viewed as a commodity, it's a very dangerous thing. As I'm sitting here at a gas station, by the way, when something is viewed as a commodity, for example, gas, what stops me from going from BP to Exxon? What stops me from going from Exxon to Shell, right? I could surely sign up for memberships or royalty rewards for both, but ultimately, it's the same. It's the same. What makes them different, though? Branding. And so going back to the conversation that I had with the business owner earlier today over breakfast, branding is everything. And what we oftentimes forget is countries are branding. What makes the United States is not that it is truly God's gift to earth. It's not. As a matter of fact, people make the United States, all right? So people are God's gifts. The branding, which is the idea of what the United States can be, the branding doesn't necessarily measure up to the marketing message, right? And you don't have to, you could be blind metaphorically and see that. You can see that the brand does not align with the marketing message for the United States. And that's true for many countries, not just the US. That's true for many countries. But the branding, or the consistent marketing message that is perpetuated throughout decades, that is perpetuated throughout lifetimes, that is perpetuated throughout years and years and years, that marketing message has been heard so many times that people from other countries believe in it. And they believe in the American dream, whether or not you speak to a citizen who claims that it's an American nightmare, right? That's someone who has a live-in experience, right? However, the marketing message is repeated over and over again to where someone in a whole nother continent will believe in the American dream. Why? Because that's the marketing message that is consistently pressed. That is a marketing message that's consistently presented. And here's what I'm getting at, and here's how this becomes full circle. When you choose to have your marketing message that is dialed in, that is specific, that is laser focused, it will always resonate or echo to others. It will become broadened. It will broad on its own. I guarantee you. I guarantee you it will broad on its own. Let me give you an example real quick. And I use this one like all the time. The one I use a lot is Chick-fil-A. I ask people, hey, what do you think, or who do you think, so it has to be one person, who do you think is Chick-fil-A's customer avatar, right? And people say all kinds of things. And if you do the research, there's tons of articles out there. There's a great research that was actually done by North Carolina State University, where it shows that Chick-fil-A's target customer avatar is a female Caucasian who is in her early 40s, who has 3 children, who drives a minivan, who either works from home part-time and or does not have a job on her own. So in other words, they're stating that the primary breadwinner in that household is the husband, but she has this responsibility, this urge to be the one that takes care of the children. So she picks them up from school, and so her struggle is that when she picks Timmy up from soccer practice and Madison from cheerleading practice, that she's having to also juggle between getting them ready for bed and also having a good, nutritious enough meal for them to eat. That if she has to compare taking her children to McDonald's versus Chick-fil-A, she chooses Chick-fil-A because the toys at Chick-fil-A exercise her child's brain. That's how deep that marketing message is, to where when you look at Chick-fil-A's, advertisements, and they have that red couch, right? They have a woman that's in that age bracket that's on that red couch who talks about how stressed out she was when she came to the restaurant, and how someone at the restaurant wrote a nice note that said, hey, you're a great parent. Keep doing what you're doing. I love seeing you with your kids. And that meant so much to her. Now, this is a woman who is married, by the way, and they rarely show the husband. Why? It's not that they don't care about the husband. It's the fact that they know that the primary focus is the customer avatar of the mom. That's the primary focus. Now, listen to this. The mom is the customer avatar, not the child, not the children. But do the children still eat Chick-fil-A? Yes. The husband is not the customer avatar for Chick-fil-A. The wife is. But does the husband still eat Chick-fil-A? Yes. You, more than likely, are probably not the customer avatar, right? You're probably not a middle, I guess it's middle age, I don't know. You're probably not a early 40s Caucasian female. But my question for you is, do you eat Chick-fil-A? You probably do. So their avatar is one person, and it's very direct and it's very laser focused. That's their avatar. That's their avatar, right? She's a Christian. That's their avatar. Yet there are people who are not Christians who eat Chick-fil-A. There are people from all kinds of ethnicities who have eaten or still eat Chick-fil-A with all kinds of beliefs. What does that mean? Dial in on who the one person is that you're going to help. And what's great about this is, with business owners, is you can have more than one service. You can have more than one product, and each product can have its own specific customer avatar. And to be honest, if we want to be honest, you could have the same exact product and the same exact service, but you will have to customize it or package it differently for each customer avatar. I'm gonna give you another example real quick. And when you see these things, you're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, it's always been this way." I'm like, "Yeah, it's been in your face the whole time." The whole time. When I was in college, I would sometimes hang around the cafeteria. Sometimes, you know how it is, right? You're fellowshipping with your friends. You guys leave the caf late, and you guys are just sitting there talking, right? And so there'd be this truck that would pop up, and the truck would say Cisco. So Cisco was a food distributor. As I got older, I started noticing that same truck, like a Cisco truck, at other universities. I then started noticing that same truck because now I have a heightened awareness to see the Cisco truck, right? I start seeing the Cisco truck at different restaurants across the city. Then as I travel more, I'm seeing that same restaurant across the United States. What does that let you know? That lets me know that there's a catalog that restaurants order off of, and that 90-80% of restaurants are receiving their food from the same exact food distributor. What does that tell you? That tells you that 80% of restaurants have the same exact food. Now, how they package it or prepare that food is different to that restaurant and their culture. And based on how they prepare it, and based on the culture, and based on who their customer avatar is, they charge different prices for it. But you're still buying chicken. At the end of the day, you're buying chicken. At the end of the day, you're buying rice. Now, it might be peppered here, it might be sauteed there, but it's rice. And that's what other local business owners are missing out on. They're missing out on understanding how all that works. That's the issue. So again, you can have more than one product. And I'm giving you another example of how this is done. And you see it every day. In college, I loved Honda Accords. I had a Honda Accord in college. Loved the car. Oh my gosh. Like, I could drive that car from coast to coast. And I oftentimes stretched it. I love that car. I love the Honda Accord so much that one time, this is getting a little too much, and it's kind of deviating from the whole point. But that Honda Accord was so awesome, and I think the Honda Accord and I were born in the same year. But that Honda Accord was so awesome to where, just saying, broke college student, I could take liquor, just being honest, vodka normally, low grade, low cost vodka. I could put it into the gas tank and it would ignite the engine, and I could drive for another week or so. Seriously. But I digress. Here's what I'm getting at. My Honda that I had in college had cloth seats. Okay, it had cloth seats. As I got older, I found out that Honda I found out that Honda and Acura are both manufactured from the same family, right? Basically, that Honda manufactures Acura, right? And that if you look closely, the difference between the two was that one engine took, regular, the other engine would take premium gas. The difference was that one would have cloth interior and the other would have leather interior, like this, right? And then when you think about it, they were identical vehicles, but they were different brands, and therefore were different products. Because they were different products, they had different customer avatars, and therefore they had different prices. They had different price points. When you look closer at car manufacturers as a whole, that is what they do. It is not a shock that many retired people that you see either tend to drive a Oldsmobile or a Cadillac. It's not a shock. There's a reason for that, right? And it's not a shock of why after a while you start seeing these commercials for Oldsmobile trying to get more and more younger people to buy it. Why? Because Oldsmobile for such a long period of time specifically only target a specific customer avatar, period, right? But look who makes Oldsmobile. Look who makes Bugatti. The same folks who make Bugatti, same folks who make Acura. Same folks who make Bugatti are the same folks who make Audi. If you actually look into the same folks who make Audi, and same folks who make Volkswagen, you're gonna be shocked. You're like, wow, they make all those vehicles that are on the road, but each one of those has a different customer avatar. The guy who buys the Audi and is aspiring to buy the Audi is a completely different person than the guy who buys the Bugatti. 1000%. The guy who wants to buy the BMW is a completely different person than the guy who wants to buy the Coupe Mini. Different customer avatar, different price points, and different marketing message for each. The marketing messages are not the same. Although they're all vehicles, they're all cars, they will all get you from point A to point B when you hit the ignite and press the pedal. All of them will. But the marketing message is different. You might see one with someone driving somewhere with their family. You might see one where someone's having high performance or ultimate performance driving in and out of traffic. They're all cars, but the marketing message is different. And therefore the price point is different. Business owners, especially local business owners, hear me out. Going forward, you need to be zoned in on your marketing message. Let go of the negative thoughts and mindset of scarcity and the poverty idea and mindset of missing out on opportunity because that's causing you to be too general. And by you being so general, you're not able to make the real money that you really deserve to make. Why? Because no one knows who you are. Why? Because when you speak to them in such a general way that you sound like a commodity. Remember, commodities always will end up being priced down. The only reason that gas prices are able to be elevated so much is because there's government involvement. If it was a true market of free prices for gasoline that goes in your car, all it would take is for one of the competitors to choose to drop their price down. They would have such a high demand that it would cause all the other competitors to also drop their prices. And that would actually cause them all to have a race to the bottom. Because with a commodity, when the only thing that sets you apart from someone else is your price point. That's the only thing that sets someone apart is the price point. When you know that if you eat a McDonald's hamburger, you know that it's going to exit your body the same way that it came in, i.e. you're going to poop it out. And you know that if you eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and see the language is even different, right? You eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich, right? That food is going to exit your body the same way that it's going to exit, that same way that the McDonald's burger is going to exit your body. Then the question is, what's the experience that you want to have while eating for that day? That's what it boils down to. So now the marketing is a feeling. You understand that? It's a feeling. It's the emotion piece. That's what you're speaking to when you're marketing. When someone's thinking about driving the high performance vehicle versus driving the minivan, it's the experience. When they show a family member or a mom or whatever, a dad driving a minivan, picking their children up from practice, the car is actually not even the main focal point for the commercial. It's the feeling of having family and being secure. That's the feeling that they're trying to give, and the feeling of being consistent. And the car just happens to be a byproduct of that. And so when someone sees the minivan or they see that vehicle, they get the feeling of that security, and that's what makes them want to buy. What's the feeling you're giving your customers? What's the marketing message you're giving your prospects that gives them a feeling, the emotion to want to buy or do something? Remember, emotion is energy in motion. Give them enough energy, some type of emotional feel to make them to give them a reason to be in motion. All right. So with that being said, I need to go ahead and pump gas, or pay for my gas at least. I haven't got out yet. But I just wanted to make this quick video because it's amazing to me how many amazing, awesome entrepreneurs we have that end up wanting to quit, that end up tired, that end up wanting to throw their hands up. And it's not that they're not good at their craft. It's not that. It's not that their food isn't great. It's not that they're not good at making chairs by hand. It's none of that. It's simply because they're not able to convey their expertise and their specialty into a message that can resonate with the right audience. And out of fear, they try to make it way too general instead of lasering in and saying, hey, in the words of Liam Neeson in all of his crazy movies, I have a unique skill set. I have a unique skill set. This is my skill set. I have a very unique skill set. So, like Liam Neeson in those crazy movies, I think it's like Taken or whatever, I don't know. In those movies where he's, you know, always the father trying to rescue the daughter, right? What's your unique set of skill sets? Let me know in the comments. I'm gonna give you one more example real quick of commodity in business, right? And I want you to really think about this, because when you recognize this as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, as someone who is thinking in the future, right, who has foresight, you will never ever put yourself in a position to be considered a commodity ever again. All right. So here's an example of that real quick. There is here's an easy one for you. Who here has ever heard of a realtor, right? Who here has ever heard of a real estate agent? Okay. So in a market where things, aka, let's talk about property, in a market where houses are selling very, very quickly, right? Like they're selling like hotcakes, okay? How important is it for you to vet a realtor? For many people, if they're in a market to where, let's say they're in a seller's market, or let's say a buyer's market. I get confused sometimes, but in this example, let's say they're in a market where there are more buyers than there are sellers. There's more buyers who are qualified than there is inventory. Okay, in other words, that the average sale is taken a day, right? And this happened during COVID, for example. And you saw an influx of people wanting to become realtors. I even saw some sellers delaying the sale of their own homes for about 6 weeks or so they can get their license to become a realtor, just so they can sell their own property, just so they can keep their own commission, right? Why were they doing that? Why was being a realtor considered a commodity at that time? And actually, it's still considered a commodity, regardless of the market cycle, to be honest. And I'll break that down in this video too. But it's because in a hot market where people are very confident that something's going to sell, in their mindset, they're like, hell, it's going to sell with or without a realtor, so I don't care, right? And because of this, what you saw was that many realtors, in order for them to still get the sale, in order for them to still get the listing, what they had to do was they had to convince the sellers that they would charge less on their commissions. So then you had realtors who would have wanted 6% commission, who then all of a sudden would say, well, yeah, you know, to be honest, yeah, not only can I sell it, and you're right, yeah, it probably will go fast, but hey, listen, our brokerage, you know, our team, we're willing to still put that same effort in and do it just for 4%. We'll sell it just for 4%. And then the next realtor comes by, gives a similar spiel, right? And because it's considered a commodity, because it appears that there's so many people that can do the exact same thing because they all have access to the same tool, aka the MLS, then you had sellers that will say, well, listen, I spoke with Keller Williams, I spoke with Remax. What's gonna make you different from those guys? And the person would ultimately say, well, you said they were offering you 4%, right? You would have to pay them 4% commission to sell your property. You know what? I'm willing to do it for 2% commission. And it just got lower and lower and lower to where people were just trying to make it up in volume. Why? Because they were selling themselves on being a commodity, where the average realtor did not have a marketing message that actually made them stand apart in the market. All they were telling them was, I'm going to do the same exact thing that everyone else is going to do. And I'm going to get you the same exact result that everyone else is going to get you. And to be honest, in a hot market where something's going to sell anyway, you probably would get the same exact result no matter what. Okay? You would. And so, for an example, a realtor, a real estate agent, whatever, that is a industry in which you have to You need to. It's mandatory to brand yourself. Like, you have to have a value proposition. You got to have a marketing message that is specific, because you are going to be viewed as just a commodity. Like, no, like there's nothing different about you. Like, at the end of the day, the seller's thinking, well, you know, a 6% commission is an expense. That's less money I can put in my pocket. So who else can give me the same exact result, the same sales price with less commission? And that way I save more money. That's how I look at it, right? So think about that. Think about the industries you want to go into, or think about the industry that you're in. How can you actually make yourself different? What can you separate? How can you separate yourself in the market? And don't make it about price. If you do that, you're going to die by it. When you do that, when you price yourself basically out of the market, it's a lose-lose. Because what happens is you think that you're doing a great job by attracting the customer. What you find out is you end up attracting the lowest value of customers. And if you don't believe me, no disrespect, but if you don't believe me, think about the average customer of Walmart and think about the average customer of a Target, right? If I were to tell you to give me characteristics and character traits and all that stuff of someone who frequently shops at Walmart, and do the same thing for someone who frequently shops at Target, they're not the same person. Are there people that do both? Sure. But I tell you this, the people that Target advertises to are not the same people that Walmart advertises to. I can guarantee you that. It's not the same marketing message, which kind of makes me laugh a little bit. There was this thing I saw where Target said, expect more for less. I'm like, that is not a good marketing message. So Target, if you're listening, listen, your customers know better. That is not your market. Your marketing message is not more for less. Stop. Okay? That's not your marketing message. If you go to the website, on the tagline of like the tab or whatever else, when you hover over it, you'll see the Target's thing that pops up. It says more for less. And you're like, no way in hell. No way in hell Target's talking about some more for less. That's, no. But when you go to Target, not trying to be funny, but when you go to Target, it's a safe environment. That's all I'm gonna say. So people would pay higher prices for what appears to be a safer environment. I'm gonna be real, a safer environment that has more lighting. Because if you go to Target, to be real, they don't always have everything in stock. They really don't. So more for less. Come on. How Sway? That's not their thing. But what they do have is that it's cleaner, it's better lit, and it's safer. I have never been to Target and saw anyone brawling or fighting or even shooting. You've known people in Walmart that have done all those things and more, right? It's a different environment altogether. So think about that. People would rather pay higher prices and sometimes even drive out of their way to go to Target because of these things versus Walmart could be next door and people, nope.